Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Death. Yep, we're continuing with Buddhism reference. This term in the book that I'm writing, still in progress. Finalizing, adding terms. This term, death. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of confusion in the world today. And I'll say right off the bat, everything we've learned outside of Buddhism in today's world cultures, the religions of today's world, even if you're not religious, it's in the culture, it's in the vernacular, it's in the television programs, it's in the music, the songs, over and over and over again. There's this overwhelming fear of death. And because of that fear, or greatly motivated by that fear, endless types of trickery and magic and mysticism has been created to offer an out. That, oh, yes, you'll die, but then you'll go someplace else. What's often referred to as the afterlife. And I'm not laughing at you if that's what's in your head and that's how we're trained, right? Culturally. But Buddhism, and it shows up in a lot of schools and sects who call themselves Buddhists. It's just not Shakyamuni's teaching, nor is it Nichiren's teaching or Tendai's teaching. But it's certainly not Shakyamuni's teaching. Absolutely not. But Sylvain, this says that, this says that. Remember two things. Shakyamuni was speaking to very ignorant people. Not stupid, uneducated, unknowing of an option to what I stated to begin with. Right? Hinduism, oh my goodness, you want to look for mysticism? Look no further. But when it comes to Shakyamuni's critical teachings, and certainly in his ultimate teaching, this idea of an afterlife it makes no sense. For two big reasons. Number one, when we die, we no longer have a sentient mind, therefore there is no experience, there is no life. Not life in terms of samsara. And this is where people get confused. There's a duality here. When we're talking about samsara, yes, there's a me, there's a you, there's a body, there's a self, all of that. Buddhism doesn't say that is not real. What Buddhism says is ultimately all of the psychological dump truck of attachments that we create because of samsara is unnecessary. It is based on an illusion. That is not real. Second, the universe is life. The universe is the expression of life. Not your life, not my life. That's a samsaric idea of life. You see? There's samsara, and then there's the actual truth of life. Your life is not separate from the universe. How could it be? So the idea of an afterlife, now rethink that statement. That would mean that the entire universe would come to an end. Really? Are you that arrogant? Come on. Right? So understand, even a smaller definition of death in Buddhism exists. In fact, it's not just Buddhism. Any branch of science will agree with this. Any branch of mathematics will agree with this. Any branch of real thinking, of real physical truth, identified, witnessed, experimented, proven, there's a beginning and an end to all things. We know this. In Buddhism, we understand that everything in the universe life exists moment to moment to moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. Right? Nothing just is and remains. It doesn't pop out of nowhereness, and it doesn't remain into perpetuity. That's mysticism. That's attachment, right? Samsara. So when we read the word death in Buddhism, like the cycle of birth and death, right? We're talking about the nature of everything arises, abides and decays, and then dissolves. Everything. That's why it's called a cycle. But that cycle of birth and death isn't about you reaching the age of 1 or 2 or 82 or 92. You can identify a lifespan there, but it's not a cycle. The cycle is in the moments. So, birth, death is a moment coming into being and then disappearing, coming into being and then extinct, right? Forming, disforming, forming, dissolving, right? Energy, formation, form, extinction. This is the process of everything from a quark to an atom to a molecule to a universe, to a galaxy, to a star, to you, to me. The idea after makes no sense. There's just this happening, this momentum of energy. When you look at the ocean and you see waves, does the wave that crashes on shore somehow magically transport itself through some other ether so that it can show up somewhere else in the ocean and start over? If you understand anything about the little swells in the ocean from wind and sea currents creating waves, the idea of an after wave, like it repeats itself. There's a beginning to the wave, there's a crest to the wave, and there's an end to the wave. Done. This is how everything works. So hopefully I've said enough that you can unglue yourself from that idea of afterlife. So let's get into the book. Death. 3 meanings I gave it. Extinction, which implies the end of something being, right? 2, the end of a moment, which I was just talking about. And 3, a dissolution of energy into quiescence. That's that end of the equation, right? We have Shakyamuni talking about ceasing the formations of everything that we attach ourselves to, right? The cravings. Not ceasing the cravings, ceasing the formation of the cravings, right? What they're based on. That's often misquoted, misunderstood. Energy, quiescence, formation, form. Form, dissolution, quiescence. There's no label of whatever imprint you put on that. There's not going to be the formation of our sun coming as an exact replication of that sun. There's a process that makes suns all over the universe. They're not in any way related to one another other than through the process of formations. This is the thing that unifies you and I. You and me, sorry. I do that all the time. That's what unifies you and me. We are the products of the same process. We have subtle little identifiers that make us vary, but we're all of the same process, and we're all going to follow along with that process to our demise. That's why this lifetime is so precious. People spend their whole life worrying about where they're going to go when they're done here. What a waste of time. No, now is the living. Now is the doing. Now is the being. This is Shakyamuni's whole... Before he was Shakyamuni, Siddhartha was looking for a way to live this life fully. That's what Buddhism is. Back to the book. I get animated on this one because there's so much confusion about it. As a concept directly experienced since time immemorial, death confronts our most ingrained craving and desire as the very opposite of our karma, engine of life. It is perfectly natural, then, that all forms of life are intensely avoidant and scared of the prospect of death, right? The very thing that produces you and me is the energy of craving. To be. What are we craving? To be. Not cravings for chocolate. Not craving. Yes, those are, we call those earthly desires. But those earthly desires are born of the craving to be. To be what? To be me. And how do I define me? Maybe with chocolate. Maybe with all these other things. But the cravings are not the things we desire. The cravings are the instantiation of being me. And I define me, identify me by having all the stuff. This is samsara, right? This self-feeding frenzy of being. So it's no wonder that the prospect of this ending scares the crap out of us. Because we're made of desiring to be. And isn't that what Buddhism is solving? Stop being so obsessed with being. Go ahead, be. It's a great opportunity. But understand that being is your opportunity to see how the whole thing works. Don't worry about after, because that doesn't exist. Be here now. Because in effect, if you're not being here now and all you're doing is waiting about after, then you're not even here now. Oh, how incredibly tragic is that? You fill every moment of your day with a froth of fear and little, baubles to assuage your fear? Screw all that. Just be here. Wow. Be in this moment completely. Appreciate the being instead of worrying about when you won't have it. In fact, as physical creatures, we are quite fragile and constantly reminded of our finite existence. From this, many religions and cults of the body have existed and continue even today. As you know, most religions are somehow obsessed with the body. Look at Christ on the cross. Tell me that's not an obsession about body. Okay? This is not the basis of Buddhism, however, and so I strongly encourage you to reinvest in this word and its meanings in terms of the passage of time and the ephemeral nature of all phenomena. Basically, I'm just stating Buddhism in a different way, right? The impermanence of everything. Don't be afraid of it. Recognize it. See it for its beauty in it's like having a flower and watching it blossom, like the lotus blossom. Are we going to down a bottle of Valium because the flower is now decaying and going in, becoming fertilizer? Oh, the flower's dead. Exalt the flower when it blossoms. Man, is that not amazing? And nurture the ground for it to happen again. The flower, the flowering. Every moment, moment to moment to moment, should be a flowering, a renge. What a different way to think about life. Namu myoho renge kyo. Yeah. Buddhism is about the mind. You've heard me say this over and over again. And as I stated here in the book, how the mind operates, its capacities, and how to train it to overcome the habit energies of repetition of illusory ideas, right? The distractions, the monkey mind, the thing, oh, but look over here. To start, take the concept of birth and death as the cycle discussed in Buddhism. This cycle of birth and death is a description of the experience of time, of the moment-to-moment instantiations of potential from the engine of life, see engine of life. Understood in this way, the cycle of birth and death is the process of a single moment of life. It's not about before or after. It's about the process of happening, being, right? Isn't that what drives life? Seen in this way, death is no longer the opposite of life, but the flip side of birth. Life is ongoing. Life is the universe. It is also an essential opportunity for imprinting influence into an ongoing process of moments that is the experience of life. And isn't it that experience of life that we're trying to achieve in our minds? Buddha-ness? The actual experience of life, not all of the garbage, the desires, the cravings, the hanging on to. Wow, look at what's happening. Watching that flower blossom, that morning glory blossom. Nothing equates with that. Right? Death is then properly understood to be an essential component of life, as valuable as its companion, birth. Wait a minute, you say. What about the death? The end. Dead death. Right? Oh yes, that death. Well, that ending can come at any time, and it's inevitable. So Buddhism suggests that rather than spending all of life worrying and suffering in anticipation, we must find a way to experience each and every precious moment of life to the fullest potential. Isn't that what I just got through talking about? Death in this sense is considered to be the extinction of the sentient mind. Without the mind, there is no life experience. Life continues, but the experience of life, that's what we're really dealing with as human beings, yeah. It's the sentient mind that comes through the womb and goes to the grave. That sentient mind only exists in this samsaric reality. Not denying reality, just saying that sentience can trick us into suffering Why not be here without the suffering? Because it's a glorious opportunity and it's painfully short. But if you fill it with every moment in awe and respect and love, then the end is just another moment. You haven't lost anything. Life is contained throughout the universe and exists as its engine continues for the entirety of the universe. Personal life is the sentient mind's samsaric construction as an experience of self, right? This construction disappears when the sentient mind ends. There is no longer a self, because that's the contrivance of the mind. This construction disappears when the sentient mind ends, right? How many times have you heard me say, there's no bag of Bob, box of Betty? This idea that somehow your self that you've worked so diligently to identify surely will continue in the afterlife. What are you talking about? That is so maniacal, so childish, right? Time and space is a way for our sentient mind to measure and experience the engine of life. Oh, we could say this is that and that is not this and those are those, right? Our identification constantly going on. So just as every medical television program, when the doctor talks of the patient's death, is final when the brain dies, the emergent property that is the mind ceases to experience time and space, and therefore the engine of life. Now, don't misunderstand that. The engine of life is continuing. But the experience of the engine of life, done, gone. That's the self. And that only exists while the sentient mind is busy identifying it. Buddhism is completely a practice of living this human life well. Period. To accomplish this is to train our mind away from the thoughts and attachments that bring about stress and anxiety. To do this requires that we replace those aspects that preoccupy our samsaric consciousness and offers an alternative. That alternative is awakening. Wake up. Of the tremendous opportunity we are living in each and every moment to live life to our full potential. It's repeating the same thing again. Training the mind to Buddha wisdom, our perception of each moment of life becomes our ability to re-engage with life in each moment rather than simply waiting for life to happen to us. Be engaged with the process. Don't wait and see what you're going to have to worry about. What are you doing? Get engaged with your life. Own it. Be in it. The process that will all too soon end. Don't miss it. Buddhist practice is a method for putting our clear mind of wisdom in the driver's seat of our life, rather than being a passenger tumbling through time and space. That's it. That's the entry for death. A corollary to this will be the next topic, dukkha, or what's often translated as suffering. And I have several sources here that I quote. They're not all great, but we'll talk about it. And that's in the next video, dukkha. Kind of a funny word in the Western world, but anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you for your practice. And please take a few moments just to like and subscribe this video. It helps grow the Sangha. It's a bodhisattva effort for us. And if you're curious about this and this book, it'll be available along with the other books on threefoldlotus.com as an ebook, if you like that. It'll also be available as a print book on lulu.com, right? So please engage with those. That helps support the channel. And those of you who are simply patrons on Patreon and PayPal, you guys are amazing. You keep this, you make it, you offer the ability for me to put together these resources so that we can all increase our resolve and conviction and strengthen our practice. Yeah? Namo Myo Renge Kyo. Thank you, fellow bodhisattvas. Thank you, and take care of your health, right? And be kind. All right, enough orders. Enjoy your practice. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.